What's up, folks? Casual Dad here, and while we are waiting on the delayed 5th anniversary campaign tomorrow, I'm assuming we'll get the community campaign sometime later. We'll see what happens. But this does make it an ideal chance to jump in and talk about wildcards, which I actually thought I wasn't going to get a chance to talk about this soon. So wildcards are a brand new mechanic that lets you actually get blank cards of different rarities or factions that you can then use to upgrade whatever card you want. So we're looking at some here in the store, and then here in your collection. And this looks a little bit different on the phone versus on the computer, but got a new button right here, and then another button on each actual card screen right here. Either one will take you to your wild cards selection, or your wild cards collection, rather. And it looks like this. So, of course, you've got rarity wild cards just by common, uncommon, rare, common, rare, epic, and legendary. And then you've got them by faction that are also split by the individual rarities. So there's any combination of kind of things you can get. And say I want to upgrade a chaos card, I can either use my chaos faction cards, or I can use my general ones, or any combination of both, right? So if I click on one of these and click use, it'll show me all of the cards that qualify. And now this was my common chaos. So this is all of the cards I will see with an extremely slow scroll. Or I can just use this, and this will show me all of my commons across my entire collection with an equally slow scroll. Or, of course, you can do by any individual rarity as well. So we're just going to go ahead and use a couple. Let's see a good example. Somebody missing more than one. We'll actually go, I'm going to look by. And this works really nicely in, we spell everything right. This works, yeah, perfect. This works really nicely in mobile as well. I've been using it quite a bit on the phone. This is actually the first time I've done it on computer, so I'm sorry for stumbling a little bit. But what you see here is it automatically is going to use the number of cards I need to get to the immediate level. And when you do use, it will either use all of the cards you need to get to the next level for that bodyguard, or it will use as many as you have if it doesn't have enough to go all the way to the level. In this case, I do. Click use 4. They go on over, and then all of a sudden, I'm able to upgrade this guy, where before I didn't have enough cards to do so. Boom. Boop. Go ahead and do that. So it's pretty cool. It's a really cool mechanic, and I really, really appreciate this just in general because it's a really nice way to be able to control what you're leveling when. Especially as the card pool for the game expands, it's very, very difficult, or has been very, very difficult to level up the cards that you want. You just kind of have to play and play and play and play and wait and just play whatever your most powerful stuff is at any given time until your collection builds up. But again, as the card pool gets bigger, you get more and more low-level cards. You'll get a level 1, a level 2, a level 1, a level 2, instead of getting anything actually leveling. So to get actual meaningful progression takes time, and it still takes time. We have yet to see kind of the full-on drop rate for wildcards. It is hard to say if it's going to compete enough, if it's going to give you enough to actually level up cards that much more quickly. But to be able to funnel your upgrade slots, your rares, your epics, your legendaries, at all is really, really huge to kind of direct your leveling. So say you love one faction specifically, you could only ever upgrade that faction, which is huge, particularly for new players, but also for veteran players as well. Like I've been playing for years, I play a lot, and I don't have a single max level card yet. Now it's going to be a little bit less exciting when I get a max level card because I kind of have direct control over what it's going to be. But still, it's really cool. So there's a lot of epics and rares and legendaries that I don't use at all because they're stuck at level 1 or 2. Like Azrael here, I'd never play him because at that level, he's just so squishy and vulnerable. So this is really cool. I've been trying very hard not to blow all of my wild cards all in one shot. Yeah, so really love it. So downside though, let's talk about the negative side here. So again, I've talked about how the most valuable resource you have in Warhammer Combat Cards is time. There is no way to build out a collection of really powerful good cards except spending a lot of time playing the game and getting the rewards by playing. You can buy the battle passes, you can sink a bunch of money into the store, but even then you get a limited level, and even then it does, the amount of money you would need to actually get a meaningful advantage in level is just completely bananas. So when I first started the game, I was like, yeah, I'll drop $50, I love this game. And then very, very quickly ran out and was like, I could spend more money. And then was realizing that it's like, well, maybe I should stop that. So, but yes, the downside here though is that whenever someone spends money on the game, they are at the mercy of whatever's in the store, right? Whatever's in the store, whatever deals are available, whatever the battle pass is. So if you're keeping an eye on it all the time, you can spend a lot of money to level up certain things more quickly. But up to now, it's still been so much money that to do that in any meaningful way just costs too much to be worth it. It would cost thousands of dollars to level up a specific faction as much as you want it through money alone without doing any time, which I really appreciate. You can get a jump start, you can get some cool cards, you can get some rare cards and some extra levels of them by spending some money, which is nice. So you support the game. But it's not possible for someone to pay their way all the way to the top. It may be possible. I don't even want to think about that. It may be possible. Now, getting to the downside, if we look at wild cards now being available for money, say you get one of those big packs here, if you have the money to blow and you just buy a whole lot of these, then it is actually reasonable to start getting max level legendaries. Now, these are still random drops, so even if you spend the $100 and the 500 of these, it's hard to say how many will be legendary. The bulk are going to be common and then filtered down by each individual level. But there is now an avenue where you could just sink money into the game and get actual meaningful impact out of it in ways you couldn't before, which is also good ultimately. If someone wants to do that, it's nice to have a path to do that. Sure. I still think it's enough of a process that it still would be very slow to do that to get any really significant advantage unless someone wants to spend a lot of money. And I bet that the people willing to do that are few and far between. So it's nice to have the option to do this, to kind of buff up your collection, to spend a little money if you want to. There is a potential avenue for abuse, but I don't know if it's too bad. The other thing too is you could look at this as, and I'm just being very negative here just because I can feel the comments just in case, but and you could also see this being an avenue as a cash grab for new players. I don't see it as that. I will say this is just flat a quality of life improvement that's really, really nice. Like you can spend a little money when you start out to level up your cards. You don't have to. And even as you're getting random packs, you will continue to get wild cards, which again will let you direct your leveling. So instead of having, let's see, let me see what I have that's available for upgrades. And I've been actually upgrading a little bit more aggressively than usual, but I had some cards that were just sitting on just mountains of levels upgrades, like 300 some odd cards that I hadn't actually spent anything on. And I don't know if I have any right now. But I would just sit there and just not upgrade these things because I didn't care about some of the bodyguards I was getting. So, and that will be really nice that if some of those are converted to wild cards, I can really invest in the cards that I want to play, which is really cool. It's another way where you can really make your collection in the game your collection, where you put in the time, you put in the resources to actually level up the cards that you want. And as the card pool expands, it really is realistically getting so much more varied. There are a lot of changes over the past couple of years that have made the game just very diverse, very rare to play against the same deck multiple times, guaranteed not to play against the same warlord back to back. And with the volume of warlords in the game, that adds a lot of play variety. It's really cool. So I haven't felt a stale meta. There are some cards you see a lot, but not to the degree where it's like, I don't see any variety anymore. So really, really happy about this change. It's huge for me. I'm very curious to see how the drop rates are, because that's going to influence how big of an impact it has. But still, on the whole, I think it is a really cool, positive change. What can we use to? Oh, what can we use to? Oh man, okay. No, I'm going to do that. It would be very easy to spend all of those at once and then want them very quickly. So I'm going to try to sit on them as long as possible. Ooh, one last thing I want to mention is that there is a cap to how many you can hold. So once you have 750 common chaos cards, you will have to spend some before you can hold more. So you can't just hoard them forever until you'll find, especially with the faction unbound legendaries, you will quickly probably fill this up and have to spend those, which is kind of good. Kind of good. I don't know why I said that, but I mean, being able to hoard them indefinitely, like, why not? But I will say that they did mention that if you pay for a pack or get any kind of special reward, like a giveaway or something, that will override the limit. So you could have more than the maximum of 10 if you have some reward that would go over 10, which is really nice. But by random drops from a card pack, you will not be able to get any more or hold any more if you already have 10. So that's important to note. Yeah. So that's it about wild cards. I'm very excited. Curious to see how it goes. These are all of 2 days old now, so we don't know much about them. But yeah, let me know what you think. And that's it. Hopefully we get to play some cool campaigns soon. I do have a scheduled video coming out describing my campaign. I'm going to go ahead and let that ride, assuming my campaign will launch on time. We'll see. If not, I'll move it to another time or just leave it up for whenever it does launch. And then I will actually play my campaign. So we'll record that video when it's live. Anyway, that's it. Cheers.